What's happening, Ice Cubes? Uh, I'm I'm really excited because oh man. So I before I go off on any tangent at all and get distracted, I have officially submitted my final manuscript for review with the publisher, and I'm excited. The last time that I did this was before I even had Act 1 completed. And so they got back to me and they were like, please finish your final manuscript and then submit it. And from from the email it seemed like they enjoyed what they had read. But that was 2 years ago. uh so now my manuscript has been finished for quite a few weeks. And I've just been oh man, I've been racked with nerves about it. But over these last couple of weeks, I've been able to come to terms with it. I haven't been fiddling with it at all over the last couple of weeks. I've just been letting it sit and let the work speak for itself because that's something that I'm learning is very difficult as a writer is to let go of a piece of work that you've been working on for so long and let the work simply speak for itself. I didn't want to let go of Act 1, but it's important that I do because Act 1 is finished. It is done. There's no massive improvement. There's no whoops, just smacking my microphone. Haven't been doing this in a long time. Uh there isn't some massive breakthrough that I'm going to have that's going to suddenly turn that's going to make this book even bigger than it already is. Um I did try at certain points to add more sections to it to pad out the length because it's only 26,000 words is the thing. No, that's Act 2. It's almost 27,000 words, but well, it's fine. But that's still only novella length, and I'm very happy with it. I'm very I love how this first book has turned out. And I've been asked this actually a few times by a couple of people who've actually read the book. They're like, "Oh man, is it going to take 3 more years to finish your next book?" And I'm like, "No. No. I'm already actively working on Act 2. I I want to try and finish at least mostly finish Act 2 within the next year. So everything that I have right now, Act 2 is started. I just don't have a lot. I'm almost finished with the first section of Act 2. And this book is going to be much bigger. It's actually going to be proper novel length. Act 2 is because Act 2 is separated into two separate parts that could be their own books for all intents and purposes. But I want them to fit together properly because the majority of it is the last great mystic war. That's what Act 2 is mostly about. And those are the dirty details that I really can't wait to get into because there's a ton of foreshadowing and there's a ton of like insinuation about the war and about other things going on in the story in Act 1. Act 1 is going to age like a fine wine over the next few years as I continue through the series. I'm so excited. I am extremely excited. Oh god, there are people who are trying to get my attention. Um it's we're people are trying to get my attention for emulator stuff, but I'm busy. I'm trying to publish a book. Uh Bloodborne and Twilight Princess emulator stuff is the stuff that I'm being DM'd about, and I'm interested in that stuff. I've been doing all sorts of gaming stuff in my free time, but I've also been extremely busy IRL. Uh, and I've been really taking my health seriously. I've been working out a lot more. I've been working a lot more. Uh I go out to the farm every Sunday. Today is Sunday. So I'm waiting for a call. So if this video suddenly cuts, it's because I got a phone call. Uh, I'm super excited. No, don't do that. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you open there? That's the thing that I need for the Twilight Princess thing. Thingy thong. The thing the thang. Also Apollo sent me. Why are you over here? Why are you there? Why did you open over here? Why must you be this way? Oh. Oh boy. I'm getting sidetracked. This is the thing that I said I didn't want to do. I'm sorry. I want to get my emulator stuff for Bloodborne to work so badly, but I'm talking about my book right now. So, for those who don't know the backstory of my books is it all ties back to Mystic Hills, kind of. And the reason why I say kind of is because originally my idea for writing these books was a complete top to bottom rewrite of Mystic Hills. And I learned very, 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 very quickly that that was just not going to work. And so essentially what I did was I slapped the name Mystic Hills on it and essentially created a whole new universe, conceptually changed everything from top to bottom. and it's been a journey. That's for sure. It's been a long journey to get here. The journey to get here to a finished book and a completely planned out series. I have the whole series planned out in my head. Never, if you are ever getting into writing, if you're ever getting into anything as serious of a project the way that I am, never do it the way that I did. Take notes, keep a journal. Do not keep it all in your head because my brain is so full. It's the only thing I ever think about a lot of the time is my books, and it's crazy. It's almost muscle memory at this point to instinctively switch to modes to thinking about my books. And it's crazy how I've gotten to this position where I know exactly what I want for these characters, for this world, for the plot, the overarching plot, and the through line plot, because those are two different things, by the way, because the plot from each book differentiates, but the overarching plot is what connects them, and the through line plot is from character to character. But that's all technicality stuff. I don't need to get into a huge writing rant because it's consumed my life, is what you need to understand. I have sacrificed so much to get to this point. I still have fucking book polish notes that I don't need anymore on my wall. Um it's it's been a journey. I've passed up a lot of things to get to this point. I have lost a lot of things. I've given up a lot of things to get to this point where I'm so comfortable and so ready to dive into this professionally that it's crazy. It's crazy that I've gotten to this point, and it's even more crazy when you look back at how I started because God, just a couple nights ago, we went through the original Mystic Hills. We skipped season 1 because season 1 is so ungodly unwatchable. I'm not even going to get into it. But the problems with season 2 and 3, specifically the problems that I picked out in my own writing, because I still remember what I wrote for those seasons. There's so many problems with the way that I approached things, and a lot of it has to do with that they just did not belong in a show as sloppily slapped together, slap glued together. It's just so clear that there was no plan to expand it that much, and I wish I had. I don't regret. I'm gonna say this very specific. I'm very 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 clearly. I don't regret writing for Mystic Hills because that put my foot in the door to take writing more seriously. And like I said, I don't regret it, but there's definitely a lot of things that I look back on and am like, why did I do it this way? Why why did I approach it like this? Because it's just so it was so strange how I approached the original Mystic Hills, and how I put certain pieces together, and how I created things. I definitely don't regret my uh completely unchained creativity, because the how I was able to just pull things out of thin air and come up with certain plot threads that just didn't really make sense, yet I made them make sense in a certain light from a certain point of view. It it's something that I'm very proud of, but at the same time I know that it is fundamentally flawed. There is so much wrong with the original Mystic Hills. There's so much wrong with Mystic Hills in general. And I would know probably better than anyone considering my remembrance project, because oh my god, there's just so much that I've had to there's so much garbage that I've had to strip away from the original to actually make something coherent and decent. My remembrance project is it's essentially my side project. It's my project that I sit down and write when I don't want to write my books. And I have quite a bit done. I don't have I don't have everything perfectly polished, which isn't really the point. The point of this isn't really to polish it super thoroughly. It's just a fun side thing, because Mystic Hills is it's important as a legacy perspective, because this is where I started. And if I can't recognize where I started and be able to look back on how much more I've improved, then I'm just going to get lost in my own I'm going to get lost in my own glorification, and I don't want that. I that's definitely not a mindset that I want to stick with. Uh it's it's very much a thing of, this is my closure. Once I have Remembrance finished, I don't think I'll have any reason to think about Mystic Hills ever again. And that's I'm looking forward to that. That's one of the things. Like, once I have this done, it's gonna take as long as it needs to. Just like my first book. My first book was gonna take as long as it needed to, because I essentially had to have a crash course in every single aspect of book writing on my own. I did not have a whole lot of help, and whatever little help I did have came from uh, booktubers from on YouTube, and even they aren't actually that much help, because this is something that I've noticed. I don't know if it's like the wider uh view of fantasy writing, but there's this Sanderson-esque uh, mindset that fantasy books have to be 100,000 words. They have to be written traditionally. They have to be a certain structure. They have to be a certain way. And I find that very restrictive. I don't know if restrictive is the right word for it. It's I don't know. It's just something that I've noticed that there's a pattern in among fantasy writers that there's a specific way to do things, and I find that extremely restrictive and gatekeepy. I find it very much a gatekeeper kind of move for people trying to jump into the genre, and it just gives me the ick. I'm like, no, I this isn't how. There's I don't know. I'm gonna stop talking about it. It doesn't matter. Uh, it doesn't matter ultimately. Um, but back to the book. The book has changed a lot. The whole series has changed a lot. There was so much that I had to go through to change for it to expand out as much as it needed to, because there's a difference between expanding things the way you want them to and how much room they need to expand. So the scope and scale of my series expanded quite a bit, and by quite a bit I mean enormously, when I had to plan two more books, because the original idea was a trilogy, but it was supposed to end on a cliffhanger that was never going to get resolved. And that was going to be my big fuck you to uh the genre, as it were. But I very quickly realized that I shouldn't do that. That's a horrible marketing strategy. That's a terrible move. It's a horrible idea. It was one of the stupidest ideas I ever had when I started planning out my books, because good God, if I had gone through with that, um, I wouldn't be as far as I am with my books right now. Uh, and it's been very much a trial and a journey to get to this point. Um I don't know. It's just been I don't think I can understate it enough how hard it's been to get to this point, because it's just like learning any new skill. There's always this long, well, it's not always a very long road of hardship when learning a new skill, because some new skills that you learn only take a few weeks and it's really really hard at first. But expand that to 3 years and you'll get a better idea of how hard it was to learn all these things while also retroactively working on a dark fantasy epic that spans dimensions and involves gods and monsters of unfathomable levels. And I don't know. I don't know. There's there was so much going on mechanically for my books that I didn't really have time to think about anything else at all. And it really showed over the last few years. That everything began to suffer and decline in quality because I was focusing on other things and I was busy working out the mechanics of my books more so than anything else. And it took me too long to realize that I just needed to stop. I needed to stop diverting my attention in several different directions. Um and really hyper focused. And once I cuz I think that's something that I didn't really talk about when I said I was retiring the channel is that I I don't know. I don't know. I've been so hyper focused on my books. It's as I said before, it's literally the only thing I ever really think about. Um but I would say it's been worth it. Um I've sacrificed too much to get here. I've lost friendships. I've lost connections with my family. I've turned down job opportunities. I've destroyed friendships. I've there's been many things that have happened over the last 3 years to get to this point. But all of the trials and tribulations, all of the hardship that I went through, I would do it all again to get to this point where uh where I have a finished book and I'm submitting it to a publisher and I'm ready to dive into this professionally rather than as a pursuit, you know? Because once I get my foot in the door and I have this first book done and published, does does the rest of my journey become a little bit easier? And I really mean a little bit because I still have a level of quality I intend to maintain. And I'm really excited for Act 2 because what there's something that needs to be understood. Act 1 is as soft as an introduction as I can provide for my universe and for my series. It's it's still dark. Like there's still quite a few dark events that happen, but they're not nearly as dark as how things are going to get in Act 2. I fully expect that it will be Act 2 that kicks off my career. I expect Act 1 to be more niche, and I expect Act 1 to not really perform super well, but I expect Act 2 to kick off my career. And I'm approaching it with that level of seriousness and that level of quality that I'm trying to approach. But I'm very lucky that I have the people who I have who supported me up to this point. It's I don't know, I'm just extremely fortunate. But yeah, I'm extremely fortunate that I have people who care so deeply about my work, who want to see me succeed, who want to support me in succeeding. And I feel the exact same way for them. Like my best friend Nick is my biggest fan, and I'm extremely grateful that he's taken to my insane ramblings and my uh intense scheming of how to bring this world of mine to life. And I'm super happy that cuz his fiance, I met her a couple weeks ago for the first time, and she read my book and she loved it. She loved my book, and I it's just been it's been a great, like it's been received really well. And that really helped solidify that my work. Oh shit, I just fucking beat the shit out of my microphone. That solidified that the work can speak for itself, and that I don't have to stress so much about it being good, because it is good. But my thing is I don't want to be just good. I want to be great. And I don't want to be just great. I want to be one of the greats. And that's my drive. That's my ambition. That's my pursuit. Like that's what I'm constantly chasing after and constantly improving for. And that's what I live for. I live for getting better at things. And ugh, I'm so excited. Act 1 was a triumph. but Act 2 will be probably the best thing I will ever write. I struggle to, and that's kind of my pattern, is each thing that I write is the best thing I've ever written in order. And as I get better, that new goal continues moving, and I keep going up the ladder. And it's such a satisfying feeling to look back and realize, man, I'm immensely better than I used to be. And I'm it's weird to say that I'm proud of myself for getting so much better at writing that I have than I used to be, I should say. And it's such a weird feeling to say that out loud. I'm not overtly proud of myself all the time. I don't know. I'm it's it's just something I've been extremely passionate about for so long, and I've been busting my ass for it. I've been destroying myself for it. But that's what you need to do to make art, is you have to destroy yourself to make good art. And in the end, you have to hope that it is worth it. And I definitely feel like it's been worth it. I think over the rest of the year is going to determine probably the course of my life over the next decade. Decade? I can't talk. Because I'm extremely excited. I can't even remember. I just sent the email and everything earlier. Flame Tree Publishing is who I submitted it to again. Um they were the ones that I decided upon back then, and I stand with my decision, and I hope they get back to me. I really hope they get back to me. Even if they don't, I'm not too worried about it, because there's also draft to digital. That is a choice that I can explore more. I have explored it. It's just that there are several things that I need to do if I'm gonna go that route, which is cover art and copyright filing, because that is important. Those are important steps. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I'm really happy with where I've gotten to and the direction that I'm heading in, and things are getting better. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. I I have things to do today. I have to be ready here in a little bit to leave. So thank you all so much for watching and listening to me babble about nothing. uh, but I'm super excited, and I'm so ready. Like I completely forgot that I haven't shown it off. Act 1, it is done. The whole book is finished. I'm extremely happy with how it turned out. Um there is a thing I would have to set up with the A5. This is the standard book format, and it's 154 pages. So I'm it's still not a small book. And the reason why I set it to pageless is because it's a fake uh dark mode that I got taught how to do with Docs, Google Docs, and I'm extremely happy. It makes writing so much easier and so much better, so much more fun. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see all of you whenever I see you, if I ever see you. Probably in a new update if my manuscript gets accepted. Bye.